Hello and welcome to another episode of Commander Fodder. As I mentioned, I think last week, with these episodes, it's going to exclusively, at least for the purposes of sticking with the particular sets that I'm covering that week, it's going to stick with theme decks as the fodder. So we're this week doing Invasion. And so therefore here's the Invasion theme decks we have at our disposal. We have Blowout, which is, well, it's interesting because if you look at the mana base, it is red black, but there's a Thunderscape Apprentice in here that uses green mana. And if we go through, somewhere in here, I would expect to see something generating, hopefully, green mana. But maybe that's the way the deck is, and you just can't play that ability. And yeah, maybe that is the case. And we'll come on to that in a moment, because that has implications. We have a dismissal deck, apparently the thinking person's deck, which is blue, is that blue, black, red? Yeah, so we've got Islands, Salt Marsh, which is doing blue or black, Sulphur Vent, which does black and or blue red if you sack it, and Swamp. And obviously that's going to be there to facilitate these apprentices. Heavy Duty. That's generating green-white. Looks like a green-white deck. I'm assuming because we're in green, if we needed to, and I don't see any of the wizards here that have two abilities that are allied to their casting cost. That might be a way of fixing that if that was the case. I don't really see that. And then we have a Spectrum deck, which is actually 5 colour based in green. I have this deck, and if you're interested, there is an unboxing of this way back. So islands, mainly forests, mountains, plains, swamps, and what it's doing, which is pretty clever, is it's exploiting the fact that there's mainly green in here. And so the idea being that all these djinns don't get negatively affected. In here. Now this would have been quite an interesting deck to choose, but I'm not quite sure the way I could take that. I did have a lot of trouble with this particular set, actually, just picking one that would work well. And I did hover around doing this one, but it didn't really seem to work. So I've decided to go for the Blowout deck. Part of that was probably biased by this is played. This is a popular card in Commander. I'm not saying that some of the other stuff in here isn't popular, but I tend to sort of gravitate around the rares where I can. And I was interested in the fact that we'd have an X damage spell at our disposal as well, which is always interesting. So here's the deck, actually, in Architect, in its unaltered form. And as I was going through it, as I pointed out in this video, I noticed that one of the cards was a Thunderscape Apprentice. And what I've been trying to do with theme decks going forward in Commander Fodder episode is, if there's no legend in here, so if there's a legend, I'll just gut out everything that isn't relevant to the legend. But if there's no legend, obviously I've got to provide one, but I'll try and keep as many of the cards in and keep the colour identity of the deck the same. And because of the presence of the Thunderscape Apprentice, the colour identity of this deck is actually red, black, green, rather than just red, black. And there may well be another card in here which requires green as well. I don't think there is. I've been through a few times and couldn't specifically see it. So that puts a slightly different spin on it. And if we go to the actual, so this is the sort of gutted out deck, so I do have to do a little bit of tweaking to take out multiple copies. So that's what I've done here, taken out the multiple copies. Originally I was also going to remove that Thunderscape Apprentice and use Garnu the Blood Flame as my commander. Mainly because it fitted in with the graveyard theme of one of the rares. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, maybe I want to play a commander from the set, which might be more interesting. One of the dragons, for instance. So that's what I've decided to do. And what I want to see is, if I throw this at the suggestion algorithm, what happens? What do we get? Are we going to see, because of the presence of Kavus, are we going to see Kavu Tribal? Is it going to do off of this? Who knows? What I wanted to do as well, and I think in previous videos you've seen this, where I'm using the theme decks, I often try and avoid seeding it a bit too much. There's been a few exceptions, but that was the original plan. But what I thought it would be fun to do is seed it with namesake cards as well, and just see where that takes it. And also, as we were playing the Thunderscapes, I wanted to seed it with some of those ones, because if you remember, there was a vertical cycle of those across 2 sets. So we've sort of jumped ahead of ourselves. This is the invasion, but we got some plane chase stuff in here as well. The other thing I think I decided, I noticed this card in here, Blazing Specter. It's just a different way of messing with people's hands. I thought it might work. In some ways it would appear to work against Darigaaz, because in some ways you don't want to use this before you use Darigaaz, but then you might want to use this after you use Darigaaz, because you're now going to know what's in the player's hand. At least that was my way of thinking. Could be completely wrong, but I thought it was just an interesting, and it is from the set, so it's just a fun thing to put in. It's rare from the set, so I'm going to drag that in. I'm thinking about just keeping this in here. This ability here probably isn't quite as useful as if it was Commander, because you could keep bouncing it backwards and forwards from the command zone, or get it back in the command zone and then cast it and get stuff back from your graveyard. But I quite like the fact that it gives all other creatures you control haste. So there might be some shenanigans, and certainly the first time it enters the battlefield, you're getting stuff back, and that part of the reason for having that in there, and the original point of the commander, is that it does echo one of the rares, which is Phyrexian Delver. So there's quite a lot going on here, and this could end up being a real dog's breakfast. But, you know, that's part of the fun. So let's get all these namesakes in here, including our Thunderscape shenanigans and Ghana. Oh, and yeah, this as well. This is interesting. So I noticed in the here they were suggesting other spells. Where's it gone? There we go. That's where Blazing Specter came from. But they were suggesting things like Earthquake, which wasn't in the set, but it was in the core set. So it would have been standard legal when this set came out. So I thought, oh, that'd be an interesting inclusion. So I've just whacked in. I suppose if I was being really strict, well, let's be really strict. So let's put in the card that would have been. So it's either going to be 6th or 7th. I'm trying to remember. I mean, either would have technically been standard legal, regardless of what the set is, because something was, 6th or 7th was legal at that point. So it's a question of, from sort of roughly that era. There's dinosaurs in that one. 1993 to 2001. That sounds about right, actually. Because 6th edition would have been 1999. So I think these came out when. Let's just check the set. Gotta get this right. 2000. Okay. So. Yeah, see, core sets come out every 2 years, so it's a little bit, can be a little bit confusing. There was a beatdown deck before that. Oh, now I've gone off down a rabbit hole. Wow, it's amazing the amount of stuff that comes out. I would hope that it shows us where the core set is. There's a lot of stuff here when stuff comes out every 3 years. So yeah, the previous set would have been 6th edition. Or that the previous core set would have been 6th edition. So my guess is that 7th edition came out sometime during this cycle of things. So as I think I pointed out in the past, the core sets would sort of come out almost middle of, yeah, so there we go. Well, that was worth it. So yeah, so would be the 6th edition at that point. So let's do that. I quite like this artwork here. Okay, sorcery. Right, now we're out from that little rabbit hole. Let's save that and have a look here. So I'm pretty sure if I use the regular architect, it's just going to blow its mind. It's too confusing. So we won't do that. I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, that's not going to work. So we'll use the backup plan, which is always to just use EDHREC. That will generally come back with something if you've got a commander and about 4 other cards in your choices. It'll always do something. So what do we got? Ooh, it's definitely picking up on... Is it picking up on the Kavus? Yeah, it is. Look. Do we want to go? Oh, look, there's Sabut Havoc, which was another legend in the set. It is on colour. That's quite evil. Yeah, let's do that. So obviously we've got a few dragons turning up. Okay. Regenerate. Your choice until end of turn. This is interesting actually. There's some interesting... It's picking up some interesting synergies here. Because we can bounce some of our stuff back that has ETBs. So yeah, let's go with that. I know mainly our commander is messing with our opponent's hands in terms of taking a look at them, but that's not a bad thing. So I think so kicker was also a thing in the set. Element of powerful. If it's kick, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. If you do, shuffle all the other cards. Okay, yeah, this is going to be interesting if we've got a little bit of bounce going on. We're playing 5 colours, so that makes perfect sense. Cards here that I wouldn't even know about. There's an element playing 2 elements of our direct damage. Let me just stick some Kavus in here with kicker. Bit of a Kavu tribal sub theme going on there. Yeah, I'm afraid this deck could turn out to be a bit of a dog's breakfast, so I said, but yeah, what the hell. It's commander fodder, that's part of the fun. Oh, another... Do I just pack this with that period of legends? Because this was another legend in the set. Yeah, let's do that. Because there's a number of lands we control as well, not just forests, which is good. I don't know how many, if I've got enough Kavus to do that. I'll have to look at this percentage. Oh, I do want... No, hang on, that doesn't make sense really. It's not all the colours. Oh, the Crows and Tusker actually. That's a good staple in green. Interesting way of dealing with artifacts as well, and that whole direct damage thing going on. Yep. As we're playing green, we might as well do that. Oh, actually that works with our commander. Get double strike. So even though we're not really playing dragons, it is a good support card. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting... I don't know what I think of this as like a mesh synergy where you've got lots of cards synergizing with certain other cards. Does make the deck pretty... Doesn't make it very focused, but it makes it like so nicely diverse. It's going to generate a lot of red and green. This is interesting. I'm uncovering a lot of cards I didn't even know existed. or cards that I should remember existed. That's probably a better way of putting it, because I've probably forgotten them more than anything. There's actually lots of really cool support cards here. Blue and red spells. Why not playing that? So we don't really... We could play it, I mean, it's nothing to stop us doing it, because it just references it, but we're not really benefiting from the card as a whole. Oh, this thing. This is nasty. We'll have that then. I don't know if I want to be playing around with saplings. I don't know if that's a thing. Okay. Wow, we've already got deck size up to 90. That's pretty good. Oops, I think I overdid it a bit on the creatures. I forgot how many were in there. So I'm just looking at... I did put something in here. Just going to take the Crows and Tusker out for a moment. Is that a May or a... Okay, so I do have to bounce it. It's good to know. See, that's a lot of creatures. But am I bothered? Well, maybe I should get rid of this, actually. It's too erratic in this set. Okay. Player of his hand deals X damage to him or her, where X is the number of cards. Okay, whenever combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 if you do. So you've done the combat damage. Okay. So that, yeah. So that, okay, so that works. Now, I know I've put it in because it was a namesake, but does this really help? Oh, it does keep coming back though. And it synergizes nicely with the other card. Kavus and Dragons. Yeah, maybe I won't have that. Okay, so let's be a bit ruthless here, if we can. That's interesting. loads of interesting utility here. Yeah, it's a weaker Kavu. I'm going to take that out actually, funnily enough. Does fit in because we know what there's in their hand, so it is good to have a little bit of discard in there that could leverage that. Yeah, I'll take out that. Okay, well, maybe we do want it a little bit lopsided. We have no all creatures with utility. Yeah, let's stick with that. Be interesting. So maybe I'll just stick with all this other stuff here for the moment. I need to rebalance the land, but let's just see what sort of artifacts I really need to add here. Oops, wrong choice. Oh, I should... Yeah, that's thematically cool. I forgot about those. We will add the new Soul Ring artwork. And that. Anything else here? I should do that as well. I'm playing quite a lot of multi. Is that a good idea? I suppose it helps get my commander out and some of the... Yeah, maybe that is a good idea. Okay. Any interesting enchantments? There was a haste thing going on from the original commander I chose. And we're playing a lot of creatures. So that's good. I like the sort of suggestions this is putting forward. It's a dog's breakfast, so I'm getting lots of dog food here. Oh, this is fun. Yeah, God, this is a real weird deck. No. I don't have many flying creatures, so apart from my dragon. I quite like this sort of stuff. Okay, so I should check out. We do need some better spot removal. Oh yeah, terminate. Definitely. And putrefy. That's cool. That sort of keeps in with this damage. I actually like that. God, this set is just full of all sorts of gems. They just were interesting utility. could go for quite a bit of ramp here. Let's just see what we've got in. There's a load of obvious stuff I could go for here. Like, you know, mass removal and fog effects, but I'm going to just stay away from that for this episode and just see what comes back here. It's really so. I do really. I should maybe have one. Yeah, seeing as we're playing red, let's really go for it. And green. So I put some cultivates in there. I'm going to put a Kadama's Reach in. And then see what I can maybe get rid of. Yeah, I'll just ditch that, I think. That gets me down to 100. Wow, yeah, it's a little bit different. I didn't actually see what. Let's see what Planeswalker comes up with. No, nothing. Yeah, that would make sense. I'll just redo it. I'll let it recalculate. No, it's not going to come up with anything. But we do need to check our land out. Okay, what do we got? Yeah, I should do this. This is stuff from the block. So we should play Terminal Moraine. And that's the one. So Geothermal Crevice. Command Tower. This is, yeah, that's the appropriate tricolour land. Evolving Wilds. And a Terramorphic Expanse, which I tend to forget. And we'll leave it. I could put in all these other lands from Ravnica. I know I tend to do that, but I'll leave them out for the moment. So I've just got to get this back down. So I've got to remove 7 basics, basically. Let me take out 2 of each. Just going to have a quick look at the makeup of the deck. Okay, so it's implying I want slightly more red. We'll do that. And that hopefully close enough. Okay. We have our deck. It's a very strange deck, but that's part of the fun. Yeah, we probably maybe is see the thing here, which is really good, the way sort of direction it's pulled me in, is because there's so much utility on creatures in this set. We've got a lot of creatures that are sort of doing double duty a little bit, and all bouncing stuff left, right, and centre. So. And have protection from certain colours. What a mess. Let me just export this. But it's a fun mess. Okay. There's my deck exported. Now we're safe. And if this crashes, I won't lose it. I mean, yeah, I've never lost a deck in Architect, actually. That's not really fair. But sometimes when I go into playtest, it does rejig the deck a little bit. Okay. Oops. So we've got Utopia Tree. We don't have any green though. I have one red. Although we do have this Herbal Volcano. I suppose strictly speaking I should have played the other one that goes with this for the other combination, so red green. Yeah, there's some stuff going on here. And of course this. Yeah, I think this deck is super dirtly. That sort of echoes the ability on the on the dragon, actually, to some degree. You're looking at hand and then doing stuff. I wonder what our curve looks like. Let's have a look. Wow, ton of 2-drops. If you can get stuff out early. So yeah, the changes I made, I'm not going to do them, is just in the interest of theme and aesthetics. I'd probably put the other one of this from Invasion in here. The interesting one for this actually is this Terminal Moraine. This is in the next set, I think. If let me just check. Yeah, it's in Plane Shift. So it'll be interesting. We should come across this when I do my next set musings, because the next set musings I'm going to be doing will be Plane Shift. So we should see this. So it'll be interesting to see what other lands are in there, because sometimes you find with the smaller sets you don't always necessarily get non-basic lands on the assumption that you're going to be drafting it with the large set, but sometimes obviously there's things in the small set which need additional land fixing support to some degree. So this is interesting. That's an uncommon. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a bit of an eye-opener for me. I've rediscovered and stumbled across a lot of cards that I wouldn't normally see, just because we missed, the algorithm just got really confused and was coming up with all sorts of stuff. But it's sometimes fun when that happens, because you just start to see sub-synergies within a deck, and it's definitely, I've got I think I didn't do it, it's not been done on camera, but somewhere I did build like a beast tribal deck, and to some degree that, I think if I'm right, that had the utility in it. I create that sort of synergy mesh, for want of a better word, where you've not got just a couple of synergies, you've got multiple synergies, and depending on the order in which you play cards and what turns up, the deck can play quite different at different times it's played. So yeah, I left What's that doing in my maybe board? Did I not put that in? Probably not. Probably forgot. I actually thought I'd added that. Oh yeah, it has done crazy stuff to her. I don't know what happened there. That's really odd. Oh well. That happens. I suspect one of the things I removed came back, and one of the things I took out came back. Maybe, yeah, who knows. Anyway, I've got the I did export this actually. I don't know why I'm worried, because yeah, that's why I exported it before I went into the playtest and back out again, so it has messed around with the balance of the deck. I think that said 100, and certainly the presence of this in the maybe board. In actual fact, I can soon tell. Try and just double check this. Well, we've seen this bug before. I mean, let's have a look. So this is the export. Yeah, there's no mention down the bottom of any maybe board, and when you export it, that does come out. So yeah, that's what's happened. So I'm going to post this to the description so you get the proper one, and I'll probably re-import it as well, just to make sure there isn't anything crazy going on in there and I didn't make a miscalculation. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now, and I will see you in the next episode on Monday, and we'll have a nice set musings for the next set. Bye for now.